everybody. My name is Dwayne Massey, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In my YouTube video entitled, The Relationship Between Arousal, Anxiety, and Stress, Part 2. Lecture material that go along with this video can be found on my website, www.masseyinstitute.com. If you want to stop this video at this point and download these materials, please do so. Go to the website, select the lecture material tab, select the title of this video, and print out the associated material. You can then follow along on it as the video progresses. You may restart the video when you are ready to do so. Let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to focus on the stress reaction. We need a certain amount of stress in our lives to be productive, to get out of bed in the morning, and to adequately perform our ADLs or activities of daily living. Stress can be either good or bad. It is ultimately determined by our perceptions. The value we place on the event or circumstance determines the level of stress we experience related to the situation. An example would be when a boy asks a girl out on a date. Usually prior to asking the girl out, the boy is nervous. This is because he cares about her answer and is invested in the outcome. If he is not anxious, it could be a sign he does not care what she says, which begs the question, why is he asking her out? To understand the relationship between arousal, anxiety, and stress, you have to understand the fight or flight response. This is illustrated by the saber-toothed tiger story. Early man is walking through the forest or across the savannah and comes into contact with a saber-toothed tiger. Primitive man has two choices. He can either fight the tiger and hope he kills the tiger or drives the tiger off. Or he can attempt to run away and escape the tiger. Neither alternative bodes well for our protagonist. From a physiological standpoint, what happens in these situations is your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure increases. Our breathing rate and efficiency optimize. The body dumps chemicals into the bloodstream, and the person gears up to either fight for their life or attempt to run away from the threat. If you remember, this corresponds directly to the information detailed in the arousal performance relationship highlighted in the previous lesson. The fight or flight response goes back to man's earliest origins and is a great way to deal with life and death situations. Fortunately, the stress most of us experience in our modern world are not of the life and death variety. Unfortunately, our bodies react the same way to physical danger as they do to psychological or emotional stressors. From a physiological standpoint, human beings have not evolved to the point in which we can distinguish between these two distinctly different types of stress. We react the same way to being called on the carpet by our boss as we do to a life and death struggle. However, we can't run away from our boss or beat our boss up. At least the best people don't. We have to find emotional and psychological coping mechanisms to deal with these types of stress. But being under constant stress and constantly being in the fight or flight mode can take a huge toll on us from a physical and mental standpoint, and it contributes to the pervasive stress-related problems we see in our society every day. There are two significant roles that stress can play in sports. These are situational sources of stress and personal sources of stress. Situational sources of stress include the event's importance. As we have stated, we don't become stressed about things we don't care about, and the uncertainty of the outcome. Even if you're supposed to win a game or an athletic contest 99 times out of 100, you still have to play the game. And we have all observed massive upsets in sports where the team who was supposed to win did not pull it off. Personal sources of stress include the amount of trait anxiety we experience. Some of us just experience and are more susceptible to suffering from stress than others. And self-esteem, which has a tendency to fluctuate depending on our circumstances at any given point in time. If things are going our way, we have a tendency to feel good about ourselves, and our self-esteem has a tendency to be higher. If the brakes are going against us, we have a tendency to get down on ourselves, and our self-esteem has a tendency to suffer. This wraps up our discussion today on the relationship between arousal, anxiety, and stress, Part 2. In conclusion, as always, I hope something we said today was useful and had some relevance to you. Be on the lookout for my next video, which I hope to post in the relatively near future. Again, be sure to check out my webpage, www.masseyinstitute.com. Additional information about sports psychology and the topics discussed can be found there. Also, if you like what you see today, be sure to subscribe to this channel. And be sure to leave comments, as I'm interested in what you think of these efforts. And as always, thank you so much for watching today.